AITA for telling off my mill for insisting my daughter doesn't have a real angina. My 4.5-year-old daughter has a stomach bug and has been having some diarrhea. My wife needed to take our son to an APPTND. I needed to WFH today, so my mill came to watch after our daughter. My daughter needed to use the bathroom, and I was going to excuse myself from my online meeting, but my mill said she had it. A bit later, my daughter came up to me and asked me to wipe her. I said to her, "Didn't grandma help you? She knows how to wipe, but with her having diarrhea we're helping her." She said yes, but grandma wiped wrong. She said grandma wiped in instead of out. We've taught her to wipe out instead of in. I excused myself from my meeting to help wipe my daughter correctly. I went to find my mill in the kitchen. I asked her, "Daughter, says you wiped in instead of out?" She said, "I wiped her. You think there's a better way?" I told her it's not healthy to wipe into the angina, you need to wipe out. She said, "And you have angina?" I said no, but I hate your daughter, and I won't let her get an infection by wiping oop into her angina. She said, "Daughter doesn't have a real angina yet, there's no chance of infecting anything." I said, "What? Of course. She has a real angina, she's a female." She said, "Girls don't have real anginas until they're teenagers. And that there's no chance of any infection because their angina doesn't actually develop until they're a teenager." I was dumbfounded. And I got angry. I said to her, "You're a woman. You raised 3 daughters. I'm married to one. You can't possibly be this stupid?" She told me I'm out of line and said if I can't appreciate her help then she's leaving. I told her I'm perfectly, in fact definitely more capable Tanner of caring for my daughter, and that she's welcome to get out. She did leave, and about 10 minutes later my wife called me and said her mom was furious with me and said I was terrible to her, and made her leave without any reason. After explaining, my wife is on my side. AITA for defending my daughter's real vagina? AITA for calling my girlfriend selfish for being upset I wasn't at the birth of our kid because I was also in hospital? My girlfriend and I, both 26F, have a son who is just over a year old. And there was some major drama during the birth. For some context, I have chronic heart problems and Dave been struggling with it since birth. I had a surgery when I was an infant, another at 7 and another at 15. I haven't needed one since and have been doing well all around. When my girlfriend was 6 months pregnant, I got really ill and it took a massive toll on my lungs and heart. I pulled through but spent about a month in the hospital. I felt so awful that I couldn't be with my girlfriend, Jane, but she was super great with it. Then, 2 days before the due date, I was rushed into the hospital due to a buildup of fluid around my heart. I had to get the fluid removed ASAP. When the fluid was all out, my bill came to visit me. Anda told me Jane had given birth. I was both ecstatic and devastated. I had to spend the night under supervision, but as soon as I was allowed to leave, I went to the maternity wing to see my girlfriend and baby. At the time, all negative emotions were smothered by your bundle of joy, but over the months, Jane has been showing more and more signs of resentment towards me. It came to a head last night during our date night. I had the whole day planned. Baby had gone to grandma's, her favorite takeout, got all her favorite movies ready to play, spa evening planned, etc. But she wasn't feeling any of it. I asked her what was wrong and she said she's angry at me for missing the birth. I'll admit, I didn't handle it as best as I wanted to, but we argued for a bit and I ended up calling her selfish for saying that. I asked her if she understood the severity of the situation and that I was very ill. She got up and said she wasn't going to let me patronize her and that she's never been disrespected like that before and that she's going to bed. AITA for giving a mother with a crying baby my seat near my wife to teach her a lesson? So my wife and I recently went on a trip together paid for by her dad. He flew us to Hawaii with first-class seats. We had a great time. My wife ISUSED to travel while I'm less experienced with plane travel. This was the first time I flew first class. On our way back home, we were sat near the backward by the border between us and the undesirables. A mother and her baby were one of the first to board and the poor baby was not having a good time. I felt even worse got the mother as I know she's probably equally distressed about the baby crying. While I felt sympathy, my wife was mad. She kept making comments about how our flight was going to be miserable as the best. Her completing went on for the longest time. She kept saying that the mother was irresponsible and if she doesn't know how to calm her baby, she shouldn't be taking it on a plane. I tried to tell her to calm down as AITA's not that serious, but she wasn't having it. Eventually I got tired of that, so I offered to go speak to the mom for my wife. She said she would be happy if I did. I went back in between boarding groups and told the mother that if she wanted, I would give her my first-class seat so she can kick her feet up and that may be more comfortable for her and the baby. She didn't want to initially, but I insisted and her husband encouraged her to take it. She took her baby up to first class and I got series of angry texts from my wife, so I felt like this was not a huge deal as my wife brought noise-canceling headphones. And the other people in first class most likely do as well. And if they don't, they have normal headphones and can simply block out the baby. It's 2023, not 1990. We're not living in the Stone Age. The baby cried for maybe a cumulative 30 minutes on an 8-hour flight. So barely at all. When my wife and I met up, she was livid. She told me that I ruined her flight and ruined the end of the trip for her. I told her that she's overreacting to something that's only mildly annoying. She has refused to drop this. AITA? AITA, AWTA, for telling our nephew why my wife isn't that close to him, knowing very well it would make him hate his mother, which did happen. Name change for privacy. When my wife, 40, was 17, she and her dad got in a traumatic accident which ended up fatally injuring her father and severely injuring her. I can't share everything, but it ended up causing her going into a coma for a few years. She has completely, as far as he can according to the doctor, healed from the physical injuries, but we are still working on the mental aspect because it is very bad. My wife has a sister Regina, 45, and a brother Calvin, 47. Regina had a son 2 years after my wife woke up from a coma and decided to name him James, the name of my late Phil. All of us, me, Mill, her ILs, Calvin and her husband Will, tried to make her change the name, because we all knew it wouldn't end well. She didn't listen to us and decided to go ahead with the name. The end result was not pretty. We now have 6 other nephews and nieces, and while my wife is very close with all of them, she isn't that close with James. He is 18 now. He has noticed this a lot and finally he asked me and Will the real reason why my wife isn't as close with him. We gave him a watered-down version. We told him the reason why. And he was horrified. It ended up having a full blow-up at their house, and now James is staying with my Mill. Regina is upset. I painted her as the villain, and after discussing what happened with my friends, a lot of them think I shouldn't have told him the truth. So I want to know AITA? Forgot to add, Phil had a very unique and unusual name by the standards of my country. I have yet to meet another person other than James with the same name as him. My wife didn't treat him as a pariah, just a bit more closed off to him than others. X. She didn't babysit him as often. She didn't take him on fun stuff alone as often. X he would get 1 to 2 a month alone, while my other nephew got 2 to 3 times. Other than that, they have in good relationships. She might not talk to him on bad days, but she does that to Calvin too because he looks so much like Phil. God's people, I'm asking if I shouldn't have told my nephew the truth. I know where my wife stands in part of the conflict, so I don't need any judgments on her. The reason my nephew was given by Regina is that my wife isn't as close to him because he was born so soon after the accident and that they didn't bond. AITA for not attending my sister's wedding because of her dress code. I, 18F, recently decided I'm not attending my sister's, 21F, wedding. My sister has her dream wedding planned. She has been dreaming of her wedding all her life and has everything down to the T. She has her cake, her venue, her dress, the bridesmaids' dresses and the flower arrangements all prepared. She sat me and my sisters down to show us the dresses she wanted us to wear. They were cute flowy pink gowns with lace around the neck area. We all loved them, but I had a problem: they were short-sleeved. Now her wedding is in the summer, so short sleeves are kind of a must-have, but I have scars all down my arms and do not want them on show at the wedding. I pulled her aside and asked if I could get a dress with sleeves or if I could wear sleeved gloves. She said no and that she wants everyone to look the same, so I couldn't wear sleeves or have a different dress. I said I wasn't comfortable having my arms on show around such a large amount of people and that you would see them in all the pictures. She asked if I could just put makeup on my arms. Booty have keloid scars and makeup won't cover them at all. She then said if I wasn't going to cooperate, I just shouldn't come. She told my family I was being difficult and didn't want to obey the dress code because I wanted to be different. She sent out her invites a few weeks ago and messaged me asking why I haven't confirmed that I'm going. I said that I'm still not comfortable being in short sleeves and that I will just not attend since I don't want to ruin her perfect day by dressing differently. She complained saying that she had already bought the dresses and I said I'll give her the money for them, but she didn't listen. I know I probably sound selfish and I shouldn't let my own issues be priority over my sister's wedding, but I don't like being in short sleeves and there's no other way to work around it. Edit. I did forget to add, I was not a bridesmaid. My sister wanted all the girls in our side of the family to wear the same dress as its similar tovers.